Player versus player, the moment we have been waiting for, guys. Alright, this is going to shake up the meta. Let's see if Blizzard has been listening. Alright, Demon Hunters, we're going to start with you guys on the chopping block. Alright, so your Glimpse now reduces damage taken by 20% instead of 25%. This is going to start to get noticed, guys. Void Ray damage increased by 33% in PvP combat. That's great. It was a far cry from Havoc Demon Hunter's I-Beam. So now Void Ray might be brought up in line a little bit because it wasn't doing a lot of damage. Blur now reduces damage taken by 15% instead of 25%. This will be felt. I was already having a field day on my Arms Warrior. Let me see here. Arms of Souls increases armor by 65% instead of 100%. That's going to be felt, and I wish we got an Armor of Souls treatment to our Demon Armor as Warlock. But we'll get there in a minute. Anyways, this is going to be felt, guys. BM Hunters, Rogues, Warriors, Feral Druids are going to be having a field day on Devourers now. They can be a target, guys. Same for Havoc. Blur now reduces damage taken by 15%. That is so low, guys. Instead of 25%. I mean, I'm not best friends with Demon Hunters or anything, but I feel like that's kind of lowballing them, bro. And of course, they're going to hit you with the Desperate Instincts now reduces damage taken by 5% instead of 10%. 5% is not enough, bro. They just, in my opinion, they just deleted Blur off the face of the planet. Luckily, you have 2 charges, but I mean, look at a hunter, like a hunter's survival instincts. It's a bigger wall than that, and it lasts just the same amount of time. In any case, Feral Druid, you've got Druid of the Claw. All right, Ravage damage increased by 20%. Rip and Rake is going to be buffed by 15%. We like big bleeds. Feral Druids are the king of bleeds, and we want to keep it that way. All right, and they should have some big bites in there. Right, so Augmentation damage increased by 10%. Ebon Might grants 10% primary stat instead of 8. I like to see the buff on Ebon Might. It's a very fun ability if you pair it at the right time. But you can also get punished very heavily. Take it from me as a Destro main, and I better see my buffs. I know what it feels like to be punished, and I'm telling you right now, your Ebon Might, anybody that knows what they're doing in this game, they're going to punish you on that. So it's not going to be enough, guys, because it just runs right out. For Hunter, all right, Hunter's a hot topic. All right, your Moonlight Chakram damage is going to be reduced by 30%. All right, so that means less cooldown dependent and more consistent pressure because now we've got Rapid Fire and Arcane Shot buffed by 15%. You've never seen it. Now for Survival, Moonlight Chakram damage reduced by 30% in combat, of course. Now you're going to get compensated with the Raptor Strike and Raptor Swipe damage by 20%. Kill command damage increased by 15%. I don't know if it's going to be enough on Survival. That Moonlight Chakram was slapping. A straight nerf to that might put you in a bit of a bind, but we'll see how it goes. Fire Mage, this Pyroclasm shenanigans increases the damage of Pyroblast and Flame Strike by 180% PvP combat. Versus Molten Fury now increases damage to targets below 35% health and 10%. PvP was 15%. The nerfs on this don't really matter too much. I have yet to see a Fire Mage actually get away with that hard cast. You're not a Destro lock, homie. You're going to have a hard thug life if you try to get away with that because it's not going to work. Not in this meta right now against these people snorting triple X before every lobby. I'm like, in any case, Windwalker, rushing wind kick damage reduced by 20%. So that will be felt. Rising sun kick damage reduced by 10%. And then also Tiger Brew is going to lower the crit strike damage by 3 and 6 instead of 5 and 10. So that's actually a pretty substantial nerf to your burst capabilities and a little bit to your sustain. For Holy Pala, all healing reduced by 4% in PvP combat. That does not make sense to me. Holy Palas have been holding it down in Shuffle and in Arena right now, and I'm proud of my Holy Palas. I don't really feel like they deserve a 4% nerf right now. That makes absolutely no sense. For Protection Pala, your Guardian of the Forgotten Queen is getting gutted. Duration reduced to 6 seconds. Increased cooldown to 4 minutes. Guardian of Forgotten Queen now has a 6-second internal cooldown, so you can't run them back to back. And then also your Blessing of Sacrifice is going to be bumped up by 30 seconds. If you're a prop pala, you might not like to see that, mate, but you're looking still pretty because you're still invincible. Rep pala, Shield of Vengeance absorption reduced by 25% in PvP combat. Why do they keep targeting Shield of Vengeance, bro? Let Ret Paladins have that ability. It was so fun to time it. And it takes a lot of skill to time the absorb explosion and to time it with your wings in a wake of ashes and watch the target explode. Dude, this was the reason for that, bro. Stop nerfing it, Blizzard. Divine Protection now reduces damage taken by 20% instead of 25%. Damn, they're nerfing your damage reduction on Divine Protection as well. Wow. Templar, Seal of Templar now increases damage of Verdict by 35% instead of 25%. Nice. And Hammer of Light's damage increased by 10%. So you're getting a couple more big buffs to your Templar's Verdict. Nice. If those things are slapping over 100, 150k, Ret Paladin is going to be a beast here very shortly. Priest, Flash Heal and Shadow Mending increased by 20% in PvP combat. Whoa. Mind Games. Yes! Dude, this is my favorite ability on disc, bro. Mind Games direct damage increased by 150%, and the healing and reversal increased by 150%. We love to see this as disc, as well as Flash Heal and Shadow Man getting a 20% piece of love from Blizzard. With the Atonement healing increased by 5%, that's exactly where we want to see disc. Disc is going to be looking hot, guys, especially with these holy nerfs coming in. Enlightenment regenerates mana 10% faster in PvP combat. Prayer of Mending healing reduced by 25% in PvP combat. That was a big contributor to why they could last so long. Holy Word Serenity reduced by 15% in PvP combat. That's fine. Oracle Prompt Prognosis healing reduced by 25% PvP combat. Now that's going to be felt a little bit, but those Serenity heals are pretty big, and you guys were basically over-healing it. So this bringing it down is probably still going to put you right at S, so don't be too worried there. Shadow Priest. Madness damage increased by 15%, Void Volley by 15%, and Shadow Word Death by 15%. We like the Shadow Word Death damage increase, and the Void Volley. And the Devouring Plague. But will it be enough? I don't think it will be, guys. Our HP gains are through the roof. We've got like 1.3 million HP. These things are still ticking for 5 or 10k, guys. Don't worry, I have problems on my Warlock as well with our Soul Leech and stuff like that. Alright, it's not scaling correctly, just like your damage is not. So we got to get you bumped up, Priests. Assassination Rogue, expect some nerfs. Kingsbane initial damage reduced to 12% by 12%. Implaceable physical and nature damage reduced by 15%. And then, of course, Fatebound. Tails damage reduced by 10%. They keep nerfing Fatebound. You might as well just give us a brand new tree. But anyways, that's all right. You're still going to be sitting pretty, guys. Nothing to worry about. Don't get your panties in a bundle just yet. Outlaw. Dispatch. Damage increased by 20%. Between the Eyes, damage increased by 12%. Not bad. We'll see if it's going to be enough. Now for sub, this is a hot topic. Eviscerate damage increased by 10%. And Gormar's Bite bleed damage increased by 33%. And this Gormar's Bite is sick. If you guys haven't seen it yet, we like to see that damage buff there. I'm not quite sure how much Gormar's Bite is actually hitting for the bleed, but it's a very nice complement to your damage profile, without a doubt. Alright, Elemental Shaman, my baby number 2. I want to see some buffs in the right places, Blizzard. Lava Burst. Oh, Stormbringer, Tempest damage increased by 10%. I'm glad they brought Tempest back up. That's my personal playstyle. Lava Burst damage increased by 10%. Earthshock by 10%. And Earthquake. Not bad. I don't think that's going to be enough. Our casts are extremely long on Ellie, and the damage is not necessarily justified for it. So we're going to need to see some... They had the Apex talents pretty good with the buffed crit damage. I don't know why they nerfed it. And the buffed crit chance. That was a really, really nice compliment to the profile. They shouldn't have toned it down. They had it right. They could have nerfed Descendants and kept the crit buffs. But that's all right. So we are at Restoration Shaman. So Mana regeneration is reduced to 65% in PvP combat instead of 60. Totemic Split Stream now causes Healing Stream Totem to heal for an additional ally at 15% effectiveness instead of 30. And Earth Surge cause allies affected by your Earth Living to receive 5% additional healing from you instead of 15. Those are some pretty substantial nerfs to Totemic. So those are some pretty substantial nerfs to Totemic. But that was never practical in Arena anyways. But apparently it's been actually holding it down. All right, here we go. Warlock, baby. Let's see what the cat dragged in today. Affliction Agony damage buffed by 50%. Hell yeah. Finally, Agony was almost not worth... In fact, I would never even press Agony if it wasn't for me needing the soul shards from it. That's how low it is. But this could unlock some secret builds on the Wither side. But, no, never mind. Unstable Affliction, backlash damage increased by 20%. Nice. We love to see the punishment on the UAs. You want to dispel our UAs, you're going to pay a price. All right, we already have a hard thug life as a warlock. We want our damage to stick when we actually can cast one time out of 1,000 CCs. Now, for Demonology, let's see what the cat drags in for you. Soul Harvester, weakened reaping damage reduced by 50%. Ooh, I thought that was for a flick. Okay, it's for demo. Wow, that's a fat nerf. Soul Harvester, Necrotic Teachings now causes Power Siphon to increase the damage Demon Bolt by an additional 10% instead of 20. What? Power Siphon now increases damage of your next 2 Demon Bolts by 20% instead of 30. I mean, it's okay because they just buffed you baseline, but I don't want it to make it where like our choices don't even matter and it's just like filling out a chart now because every node is like a 1% difference. I don't want to see that. Like, give us some flexibility, Blizzard. Give us some flexibility. You didn't need to nerf Power Siphon right there. You didn't. And for Destro, baby. All right. Chaos Bolt increased by 15%. Hell yeah, we need that. And then Shadow Burn damage increased by 30%. Okay, so this 30% buff to Shadow Burn, we probably will spec into Shadow Burn now if you haven't already. After these buffs, and take it from me, I'm the number 4 Destro in the entire game. Number 19 on a flick. And I'd be number 1 on both if I didn't have evokers throwing every lobby. And your favorite streamer, MC, bugging my pet out. And I'm not going to tell you how you do it either. Now, for Arms Warrior, we do have one last guy here to burn. And that is going to be Colossus damage, demolished, damage increased by 15%. What? Slayer Strike damage increased by 15%, and Fueled by Violence healing reduced by 15%. So nerfing your healing a little bit. I didn't even use Fueled by Violence. I used Ignore Pain personally, so it doesn't matter to me. All I see is the buff to Slayer Strike to my main, which is Slayer, for my main melee, that is. And then Colossus, I don't really play Demolish. If you want to play Demolish, that's great. It's got an increase there, but the name of the game is Execute. If you want to play Arms Warrior right now, Slayer is on fire. I would highly recommend it. And for Warlock, guys, I'm going to finish this off. We need some Demon Armor buffs, straight up, and our Soul Leech buffed. I'm glad we got some damage now, but we are paper thin, Blizzard. Come on, what are you doing now? What are you doing? Help us out, man. Help us out, yo. Catch you guys later.